Yeah, yeah.
He's a guy he has a seafood place, and somebody said seafood on the side. Well, we told him that anything, so he's going to say that man did enforcement. No,
We'd like to call to order the Strategic Planning Committee meeting of Monday, March 26, 2007. Roll call. Ms. Fontenot's here, Mr. Barringer, Mr. Lambert, and Mr. Shakespeare. Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak in this meeting, please introduce yourself during the agenda item. We'd like to have Councilman Lambert say the prayer.
Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight to make some decisions for our parish. We have quite a few issues that needs to be resolved. And we take a moment for all the loved ones that have passed away this week. We've had several in the parish. We'd like to take a moment of silence for them. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we want to have a 2/3 request. We have it was brought to my attention today that there's possible funding for enhancements on highways, and I wanted to make a request for a bicycle path.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, with 2/3.
Second for discussion. Where's the bicycle path?
Down 44 from the interstate to the river. And Ms. Suzanne, we want to welcome Mr. McConnell in.
Welcome, Ms. Suzanne.
Mr. Shakespeare.
Yes.
Do I need to put a 2/3 on to talk about secretaries?
Well, no, ma'am. It's on.
It's on you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any objections? So moved. We'll put that as 7A. All right, grants update from the grants department. What we had been asking for a written handout, and Mr. Keller had given us some verbal information a couple of months ago. I just received this today, and so we wanted to disseminate this information. It's attached to your agenda, and it goes back for a number of years. And we had a number of grants that were in certain phases of completion. Some of them were not completed, and we had to go back and close them out. Some of the grants that we had been trying to get lately were not allowed because we still had open grants. And so you can take a look at it, digest this. And if you have any questions, please contact Mr. Keller. There's a number of information. He also said that now that we've done this, there are some possible grant monies that appears to be opening up and that we're in line for, and some larger grant monies, and he's going to make a report on that in our April meeting. So any questions or comments there? Just wanted to get you that information. Number 5, update on subdivision regulations. That's another thing that about 6 months ago we had been working on, and we had a number of different meetings with Mr. Sonji and Mr. Rue and legal, and we had input from a number of people that are involved in building subdivisions, operating subdivisions, and so on. It has kind of disappeared. I called Mr. Sonji, and it has. They have some things that have been going back to planning and zoning, and he said that he will bring it forward as soon as possibly can, so we can adopt this these changes in that book. What we're doing is we're changing the book. They've adopted the book as from the planning and zoning as to the rules and regulation they followed, and we needed to update that. And that was a number of the things that the council has shown a concern about in strengthening our regulations for the subdivision. And so these things, we'll come forward to it as soon as possible. Numbers. Any other discussions on that? Yes.
Just not on subdivision regulation, but drainage. You say we still got that in legal?
Well, we're gonna go over that on number 7.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Discussion of clerical personnel for committee meetings. I put this on the agenda, and we had discussed this with Ms. Fontenot on transportation meeting, and right now we have presiding over our meetings, Ms. Suzanne is our secretary from the office, and she is a council secretary, and she does a very good job. But the information that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, I know from a strategic planning aspect, she is not involved with that at all, and is not in the loop on any of that information, and it makes it extremely hard to come back and operate and administer things in a proper manner. And we had one time we had Miss June that was in the loop of everything, and she knew exactly where to go and what to do, and so we were just, from a standpoint of strategic planning, and I know transportation had asked for it also, we just want to request from the council that administration allow us to have an appropriate clerical staff at our meetings that we can go to, so that we can administer correctly the things that we are doing. One of the things that you'll see is a lot of these ordinances and regulations and everything just get lost in the whole scope of things, and the person that's there on a daily basis, it's a lot easier for them to keep track of. So I'd like to, if somebody would offer that as a resolution.
Well, I agree with everything you said so far, and it's important that if we're going to have committees that we have the people and the information to run the committee, otherwise we're just sitting up here. So I'm going to make a motion to coincide with the one we made at transportation, because it is on the council agenda, right, for the next council meeting, because we put it from transportation, but we want to reiterate it, that from strategic planning, I make a motion to place on the council agenda a request of the parish president and his administration to provide the appropriate secretarial staff assigned to each committee.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Fontenot, a second by Mr. Lambert. Any discussion? Mr. Lambert.
And also, I think under transportation, we did make a statement for all committees also, but we're just duplicating, which is fine.
Well, we're just going to confirm from this committee.
Right,
But
that's
that's
right.
our wishes also.
And this is strategic planning, so this is something that we're looking for a plan. Mr. McConnell.
I guess my question is, what is appropriate personnel? I mean, what do we mean by that? You want to go back to the way we used to do things, and we'd have a different individual come in there? Are you talking about beefing up the secretary's office with another employee?
No. We had There's a lady in the office that works on primarily transportation. Meaning she has everything in her computer for all the transportation information and all.
That's
She
what you
gets
mean.
things
All right.
on a daily basis. And there's also people available in the planning department that do this on a daily basis. And you know, we need to get somebody that can transfer their
That's
information.
fine. Has anyone spoken to the parish president about this or the administration?
I did
Okay.
I did speak
And-
to him, and
what was his response? Positive, or did he pass a resolution?
he said
or?
we need to see what we need to do. You know, he was open.
Oh, I mean, I'm not arguing against it by any means, but yeah, go talk to the parish president. Let's get it done. But I'm in favor of this resolution. Sure, take some heat off of our secretary. We only have two members of our secretarial staff that work for us exclusively. So to be assisted by those people in the administration who work specifically in those areas probably helps this committee system work a lot better. So I know there was a question about overtime and things like that. So I know I wouldn't expect something right away because they're going to have to do something with the scheduling and stuff. But if you spoke to the parish president and he's agreeable to move forward with this, I think that's great. That should be really the first move.
He didn't say he was agreeable to it or not. He just said that he was open to discussions on it and go forward with that. I think he was here, but
Yeah, I don't see him anymore.
I discussed it with him this afternoon, and so we're going to make that request and see what they have to say. Yes, Mr. Sigler.
I would just say that from P&Z standpoint,
Could you come to the microphone, please, sir?
I would just add that from planning and zoning's standpoint, I consider it my responsibility to make sure that we have somebody here if it has something to do with a new zoning regulation or a contemplated regulation, and we will provide someone here on those nights or when we know that something like that is going to be here.
Okay.
We need to add one more clerical type in that department anyway, and that will be something good they can do, one of their responsibilities.
Thank you very much. And
Anybody left, or did they all go to drainage?
any other comments, questions, any objections? So be it. We'll send that resolution to the council also asking for that. And of course, Mr. Sigler has already said he would provide that. Number 7, request the planning department. Mr. Sigler, this is something, and I can probably update you a little bit. We have been working on drainage ordinance, burn ordinance, junk car ordinance, subdivision regulations, and things of that sort for the last.
I've read all these listed, at least one read through thus far.
To refresh everyone, right now we had a working meeting for enforcement, because that was everybody's concern, with the sheriff department and the fire department on all of these ordinances to try to get a generic form of enforcement. And Mr. Ricky Babin was there, and he was going to go back and try to make that work, what was suggested, so that we could have the sheriff office. Obviously, you want the sheriff's office and the fire department to buy in, and they need to be able to do things in their proper manner. And so we wanted that to happen. And he's taken that, but he has spoken to me and said that there is some legal issues about exactly how these things turn out to be black and white, and he's requested assistance from the Police Jury Association and some other parishes on how they've adopted these same things, and he's waiting on to receive that information. And then he said he would get back with the planning and zoning director, and we're going to try to move this forward. So Mr. Sigler, it will be coming back to you, and if you can take the point on that and call whatever meetings that is necessary, involve everybody that needed to, so that we can get a consensus on these items and move them forward. Yes, Ms. Fontenot.
Ken, on the drainage ordinance, I thought we had gotten it to where we needed it, and I just didn't understand why it never came back to us.
Mr. Babin has it, and they're trying to do an enforcement. How are we going to enforce it? And that's that was the council's biggest concern, is how do we go about
I just want to make sure we
enforcing it?
don't have to go back over another ordinance to tweak it again and go through the whole process again.
He's basically going from enforcement from a legal issue as to,
So it's the only thing different that we would get would be a means to enforce it.
it'd be enforcement.
Thank you.
That's what he's looking to address. So for every, the biggest concern was everybody in the parish. We have these ordinances, and some people feel like we can't enforce them or we don't enforce them or whatever. And we didn't want to bring something forward that was not enforced or enforceable. And so that was why we had the meeting with those people involved, with the fire department and with the sheriff's department. And they, Mr. Babin took their suggestions and tried to write ordinances for that, for enforcement. And he said he ran into some things that might give the parish some problems. And so he's trying to work that out now. So he may give you...
I think I talked to you briefly about what we were doing since I have arrived. And basically, I have read a number of the proposed changes that I don't believe you've adopted as of yet. And we are working through each of those groups of proposed changes kind of in order. What we're doing this week is working with a URS departmental survey that was done last year. I don't know if you've seen copies of it or
Yes.
not. That makes some suggestions. And we'll probably finish that this week and put that to bed. Adopted, obviously, some of those things are things we need to adopt, and some of them had already been adopted, and some of those probably may not be valid for this particular parish right now. Then we'll move on to some subdivision regulations that probably need to be tightened up even more than than I guess you may have talked of previously, and we'll bring those back to you. But in a very orderly fashion, over about the next 90 to 120 days, you should see quite a bit of upgrading and revision in some of those ordinances that, for one reason or other, probably just hadn't happened up to now.
Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if Mr. Sigler had time to look, but our last meeting we had, it was a subcommittee meeting to make some of these changes in the drainage ordinance. That I don't know if you have them yet, so whatever.
Ricky has them. Ricky has them.
Because I think
Yeah,
we talked about, Ricky has it, Mr.
Right.
Babin? Okay, because there were some real important
Right.
issues that we wanted in this ordinance that we discussed at our last subcommittee meeting that we want to make sure they are in there.
Well, and if you know anything about my background, as far as I'm concerned, drainage is the number one most important thing you do before you do anything on a subdivision.
Correct.
And it's extremely important, and I look forward to a lot tighter regulation in that area.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. 7A, 2/3. Speaking with Mr. Keller today, I was asking him about grants and proposing grants and everything, and he had said that he would like to have one entity that grants come from, where you can recommend that we work on grants and things of that sort rather than individuals do that, and he would like to have it coming from strategic planning. And I had been discussing with DPW for a number of years to try to request for a bicycle path on Highway 44 from the interstate to the River Road, since they're resurfacing Highway 44 right now. This would be a good time to approach that. And he had said that he had just visited with some people in the grants process, and there was monies available for those types of grants right now, and that if we would request it, he would approach it. He thought he could get monies to fund that from the federal government. So I would like a resolution asking Mr. Keller to move forward with asking for grant funding for that project.
Is this, Mr. Chairman, matching funds? Grant? We're not sure.
That's what we're going to see. Yeah, we're not sure at this point exactly. Yes, sir.
Well, my question is, and I'm all for bike paths, but since we're getting that Highway 44 just an overlay, and they're not going to do any work on the shoulders or anything like that, Is there a safety issue? I mean, that's going to have to be one heck of a grant, because they're going to have to put in a lot of infrastructure, since there's no shoulders or anything like that along it, and with all of the large industrial vehicles that are passing there. And
Yes, we know that, and it would be a part of that, and it would be probably in phases, and it would be monies that are already appropriated for that use. It's not something that we are taking away from someone. And
then I'll make the motion to request Mr. Keller pursue this. If you'll tack on, if we can continue the bike path that's along New River Bayou going down to Corner View. It stops at the Gonzales city limits, and we had talked about trying to get an additional bike path all the rest of the way down Corner View Road. I'm sorry, down the New River Road to Corner View. Then you can pick up Corner View, come into town, and you can do a whole loop. So I'll make the motion with the stipulation that you tack that on there too.
I have no objection to that. Probably point of order. We probably need to make a 2/3 to get that on the agenda and then vote on that, and I wouldn't have any problem with it.
Well, if we're making a request for a bike path grant, does it have to be in a specific spot?
No, it does not. Then we will allow that.
Thank you.
To include.
All we're asking for is him to
bike path.
pursue
I'd
the
like to pursue bike
opportunity.
path.
Because if we get the funding, I mean, it may not be feasible to even put it down
Exactly.
for, because of maybe the homeowners will object. You know, I don't know what's going to go on there.
Second.
I'll second
Thank you, Ms.
that.
Bynum.
We have a motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Barriger.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes.
can say something. Keep in mind now on these highway enhancement grants, we have one now on 44 going north toward Galvez, that we locally have to have a match, plus we have to pay all the engineering and design costs. And so when you're looking at right-of-way and design and things like that, that can get to be a very expensive part of this process, and all that has to be paid locally. It's not part of, and this money comes down through DOTD, designated for just from the federal government to DOTD for the highway enhancement program. But we do have to just remind you on 44 that we did recently, we have to pay for all the engineering services. In addition, I think it's a 10% monetary match. So.
Yeah, this money, according to Mr. Keller, is some different monies that we had been using in the past, and so all we're asking for is him to pursue and let us know at any point in time we can opt out of this if it's not reasonable. But he thought it was a good opportunity at this point in time, and he found out about it, and I think it's through the Commerce Department. So, and one of the things is because we've found out we're in the 100 fastest growing counties or parishes in the United States, and that puts us into different categories, and there's a whole new list of funding that we qualify for. So with that, and no objection, Mrs. Zahn, will you see that is transferred to Mr. Keller?
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Can I,
Yes.
This is not an agenda item. I apologize, and it is strictly a request, and it requires no action by this committee. But some months ago, this committee voted to work with the library. I'm going to refresh your memory. The library is trying to build onto the property behind them on Nickens, and there was a problem with the property line. And we went on record. This committee voted to work with them and straighten out the property line so that they could do their building. And it was a recommendation to go to the full council, and it has never been to the full council, and the library is still awaiting that so that they can, they have no drawings, they have no architectural drawing, they have no nothing, and I'd just like to know where it is. And if
Ms. Suzanne, will you see that?
Would you? My request is just find out where that is right now. I think I know where it is, but if you could look for it.
Mr. Sigler, you can add that to your list.
There we go.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, this meeting is closed.